Hi, I'm Tom Payton, publisher for Trinity University Press. As a nonprofit cultural and educational publisher, we are committed to an evolving agenda of work that engages, questions, and brings us together as a community in effective and productive ways. We are all better and stronger when we learn more about each other. That said, have you ever wanted to run away to a tropical island and escape, even if just for a while? Or maybe to completely start over? Well, our guest tonight, Corky Parker, did just that. At age 40, Corky surrendered to her swept away meets Swiss Family Robinson fantasy of running an inn far away from her then home in the Pacific Northwest. For the next 20 plus years, Parker ran La Finca Caribe and an eco lodge in Vieques, Puerto Rico. What started as a rough and tumble dream grew into a paradise enjoyed by guests from around the world. Sketchbook in hand, Parker chronicled her adventures in words and drawings as she lived with the land and got to know guests from across the globe. To tell the story, she created the newly released graphic memoir, La Finca, Love, Loss, and Laundry on a Tiny Puerto Rico Island. Joining her in this conversation is her lifelong best friend, Charlotte Kilcher. We have a television star with us tonight. Trained originally as a wildlife biologist, she began homesteading in Alaska more than 30 years ago. Her family's life has been chronicled for 10 seasons now on the popular Discovery Channel reality show, Alaska, the Final Frontier. This is certain to be a lively discussion. In the meantime, enjoy. And if you'd like to purchase the book at a special discount, use the code in the chat box on your screen and visit us at tupress.org. Thank you for joining us. Enjoy yourself, and welcome to Charlotte, who will take it from here.
All right, thanks so much, Tom, and thanks to Trinity University Press for having us do this tonight. It's pretty exciting to be able to introduce my best friend, Corky, who I've been in cahoots with since we were teenagers. And I'm just so excited to help share the intro to this book that I'm just so taken with this book myself that I think I'm her biggest fan. But I think that anyone who reads this book also becomes her biggest fan. It's just a joy to read. And so I think we're gonna have fun tonight. Corky's gonna have a lot of these interviews highlighting her book in different settings and stuff, but I think this is gonna be the this is gonna be the inner circle. It's gonna be the best friends version. So it's not gonna be the usual interview between two people. So I hope that makes it a little more fun for everybody. We're welcoming you to the inner sanctum of the teenage buddies who grew up. So I'm just going to give you a few details about Corky's career. She's done so many things in her life, but a few of the highlights have been that she was a creative director for and co-founder of Merwin Creative, which is a film production company that was located in Seattle. She's been a small-scale sheep farmer, which I can kind of identify with. And then she's the owner and operator of an eco lodge, which is the subject of her book, La Finca Caribe on Vieques Island in Puerto Rico. So she was also a graduate of Bennington College, and she's had a lot of written work covered in New York Times and the Wall Street Journal, Seattle Times, Outside Magazine, Gourmet, Adventure Travel, and The Lonely Planet. So those are all the facts we're gonna do, and then we're just gonna get down to enjoying hearing about how she wrote this book. And anyway, we we met in 8th grade in art class together, Mrs. Wolfer's art class, and Corky was always the artist who was super outside the box, and I was the artist who was super uptight and had everything inside the lines. And so Mrs. Wolfer was kind to both of us, and I think Mrs. Wolfer always thought
She
that
was kinder to you, Charlotte. Let's get that clear. She was a lot nicer to you, and she loved your artwork. Let's just get some things on the table, okay?
Okay. I think she thought that if we just blended she always said I needed to loosen up, and Corky was maybe a little loosened up already. Anyway, I think together we made a great combo as partners in crime throughout life. But anyway, Corky, I want to jump into how you wrote this book. And one last thing I want to say about it, that I love the written word in the book is so amazing, but the artwork just gives you that extra jump into visualizing what's going on in the book. There's so much fun artwork in it that I told Corky when I first saw it that I wanted to wallpaper my house with it because it's so bright and cheerful. It just sends you to the tropics. So anyway, yeah, that's my threat. I'm gonna tear up the book and wallpaper.
Okay, can I interrupt here for a second, Charlotte?
Your turn.
Okay, so of course we've got a lot of folks watching tonight, and that's really, really exciting. And I don't know if it's all my friends and family or your limitless bucket of fans. So your fans know about how wild and crazy you are. And actually, my friends and family probably know how wild and crazy your lifestyle. My art might be weirder than hers, but her lifestyle is indeed much weirder. So I was afraid that Charlotte was going to, when she said, I want to wallpaper my house, I thought, oh my God, she's going to wallpaper the outhouse, because your fans all know about your famous outhouse.
Oh,
right?
yeah, they've seen the outhouse.
So if some people are thinking that's really weird that we're talking about an outhouse, it's not weird at all if you're talking to Charlotte about an outhouse because she's almost famous for it. But I would like your fans to see a little something before we get into my graphic memoir. This book was made for me by my dear friend Charlotte in 9th grade, and you cannot see all the photos. I'm only going to cut to one, but Charlotte made this for me as a birthday present for turning 14. A few years later, can you see? And I got it. Trinity's okay that I can show this. So Charlotte was the really amazing artist, and she should have done this year. She should have written the book. And I've always told her I would ghostwrite it if she would get it together to do the artwork. But anyway, so there we were. Charlotte, her good artist, me, wacky artist. And what was your first question? I just wanted to give that little groundwork.
Okay, so yeah, love the artwork in the book, but yeah, I think that my first official question here is going to be, why did you decide to make the book so graphic? There's so much artwork in it, it almost stands on its own in artwork alone.
Oh, that's really sweet. It's interesting who refers and mentions the art, oh, look, some's coming up. This is a map of Vieques, obviously. Why did I do that? I can't really think without merging words and pictures. I think that's why I was a creative director, because if I'm writing something, I often put pictures to it. And if I'm making any kind of collage or painting, or I often add words. I don't know why, where that came from. My favorite artwork is often the same combination, Mexican retablos that have the little miracle story at the bottom. So that's the way my brain works. And it was interesting because I never really thought of myself as an artist. I still don't. And I'm just starting to maybe think of myself as a writer now that this is in print and actually in bookstores. I'm kind of getting there. But somehow writing the book was a merging of both of those and is helping me in that identity, I guess. I don't know. But I had to put pictures in it. And I guess I should say, there is anyone who's seen the book yet knows there's not one look for the book, because really a lot of the work came from, like Tom mentioned, journals and sketchbooks that are now 30 years old. So there was just a lot of different, sometimes colored pencils, sometimes felt, paint, whatever. So.
I just thought that it's unusual to ever see an adult memoir book with artwork coupled, so much. And I love it. I just absolutely love it. And I wondered, it's something that you just don't see. And I feel like having the artwork there, the words are already so rich, and then the artwork just sucks you right in, and I wonder why there isn't more of this. I just think it's a
Oh.
wonderful way to tell a story. I love it that you did that. I feel like it's very original. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it. Have you seen anything like it?
Not quite like ours, and I would like to thank Tom, and he's probably laughing off stage because there's a reason you don't see a lot of them. It's a heck of a lot of work. You'd have to be crazy. You really have to be certifiably crazy to do this, especially as a first book. But maybe technologies will be such that it will be easier, because I merged, as you can see, old time torn pages from those sketchbooks with digital work, and I kind of like the playfulness of that merge. But yeah, it's a pretty ambitious thing, and it's weird to use the term graphic memoir, because I know to many people that means something very, very specific, the kind of the cartoon strip. And I know that mine isn't that, but on the other hand, what do we call it? It's not just an illustrated memoir, so it's a little bit of a challenge. I tend to use the word scrapbookish, because to me it is like a scrapbook or a journal, but then some people have said that's not considered groovy. But you know me, I tend to say things that are not totally kosher and groovy. So anyway.
I also think you tend to be outside the box in so many things that you do that, why wouldn't we expect you to come up with a whole new way to do a book?
There you go.
So what I'm wondering is, was there a deeper story of yours that you wanted to tell with the book La Finca?
It's funny when you write a book, at least for me, I didn't sit down with a plot line. I didn't sit down with themes. I just sat down and wrote. And if Jean Rayla is out there listening, there was one guest who was in the pool one afternoon who said, "Why the heck don't you write the book if everybody asks you these questions?" So I want to just thank Jean, because she was pivotal. She's the one who just said, "Do it. You tell stories, just go and tell the story." And it came out pretty quickly. But it is interesting now in hindsight, I see there are pretty clear themes. And another shout out is to Elizabeth Cohen, if she is watching tonight, because she was a first editor, and she kept saying, "It's a great book, but what's your theme? What's your theme?" And first she said, "Is it a divorce theme?" And I'm like, "Oh God, no." Like, that's the last book I'm gonna, who would want to write a book about divorce? Not me. So she said, "Well, you got to have the undercurrent." And I didn't even know what she was talking about. So finally, I said something about, no, it's about doing things your own way, even when everyone tells you not to. And she said, "Can you give me," she's a writing teacher, so she knows how to pull it out of people. And she said, "Can you give me 20 examples of things you've done that people have told you couldn't do?" And I said, "Oh, 20? Sure, hold on." And that became the naysayer page, which I guess Bergen probably, I don't know, she whipped through a lot of artwork already, but there's a spread that's one of my favorites, because it really, it's an homage to the graphic memoir. There we go. Thank you.
There it is.
So this was my my little tip of the hat to the classic graphic memoir, which is, everyone always has to see it in in the little boxes. But I wanted to list some of the things that I was told over and over again you couldn't do, and that I did, and a lot of them worked. Some of them didn't. And I included some of her editing when she told me be careful about tenses, and I couldn't reveal too much. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, there are themes. There's lots of different things, but they came out later, kind of unintentionally.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So you talk about in the book that you learned from this place. You write about, what La Finca has taught you. And I wondered if you could talk about all of the things that you feel like you learned from the place.
Wow. We would be here all night for sure, but
you could give it a start.
a few starter. I think in the intro, I mention ultimately it's about learning the futility of asking por qué, why. I think that's the biggest lesson. And I think it's one that the place living there, and I never lived there full time. I want to make sure that people don't think I'm pretending that I did, even though I worked on it full time, but 2/3 of the year I was up here. I still learned so much, and whether that's from the environmental, the climate and the landscape and the geography and the, the basics like that, the bugs, learning not to fret about all that, but also cultural differences and learning how people can just stop in the middle of a road and nobody gets hassled in Puerto Rico. And at first you're like wanting to lay on your horn and go, come on, we're trying to get to the hardware store. And then why is he doing this? Why is she doing this? Why do they not care? I have to. And then you learn over the years, stop asking why and just celebrate that difference. It's probably too much to go into, but it's a huge part of my life. I see that now that place running the Finca taught me. I think it's called acceptance, basically. Stop wondering why and just go with the flow.
Definitely makes sense. And so can you think of or let us know what your favorite part of the story is? I feel like the story has so much humor. You tell it in such a, with such humor and humility, and yet there are a lot of times that things that are happening aren't funny at all. And yet it's just so, the way that the story is told is so enjoyable to read, even the really sad parts. But I wondered if you could tell us what your favorite part of the story is.
I guess I have a handful that stay with me all the time. And Bergen, are we still on this naysayer thing? I don't know. This is it. Oh, good. Thanks. Because I just make it confusing, but and I don't think we have graphics tonight, but for these parts. But I love the moment where we, the kids and I and David, we all found the Finca and the gate. Finding the gate is huge. It was huge. And I love the storm. The first time I'm there on my own with the kids and having to deal with, first buyer's remorse. And I think that is the moment the real education and maybe almost humiliation started of like, what the heck have I done? And I knew that place was going to teach me a lot. So the storm, the gate, gosh, the guardian angel that came in and bonked me on the head. I don't know if the people watching tonight have read the book or not, but I have a moment with the guardian angel that I've had a few of those in my life. I guess it's a lucky thing. And I'm trying to paint a floor mat, and it's really not working for Alice Waters, who's coming, and I'm just getting all worked up because it's not going well, and kind of have a little mini tropical nervous breakdown, and then somehow figured things out. So that's a pivotal moment. And then I guess the last one that it's interesting, quite a few readers have mentioned that especially the husbands, I don't know what this is, they go, my husband loved the part where your brakes went out and you turned to your son and said, it may not be worth dying over. I think it is an important kind of an acceptance, a letting go maybe moment.
Right. I liked that line too. So I'd like you to discuss the love story aspect of this between you and La Finca.
Yeah. Okay. I love that land. I love that land. I love the island. I love the community. And that one's a tough one to talk about just because the love is very, very deep. I think
that comes through so much in the book that how much you love that place.
Yeah, I have 3 wonderful children, and if any of them got it together to watch tonight, they know the Finca, you never know, they're busy folks. The Finca was always my 4th kid. And a sibling to them too. So it was love all the way around. It wasn't just mommy's dream or mommy's folly. I think the kids appreciated it. I know they did as much as I did. So lots of love there. And again, in so many different ways, from the human to the flora and fauna, just to the magic of it, to the guests. Love the interaction with the guests and all that. So there's so many ways in which I love it and so many ways in which I miss it that that will be with me forever. And I think the book was in some ways just a way of like prolonging. First, it started out as a celebration of that love, which obviously, depending on whether you've read the book or not, I don't want to do too much spoiler alert. Yeah, you know, whatever it's called.
True. So can you talk about where the balance between your great love of the place and then also the challenges of running it that you had to, you know, there was just so much. I mean, it's phenomenal what you had to go through to keep that place.
Yeah, that's
rolling.
funny. You know, a lot of people refer to how hard it was. Like a lot of really good friends are going, God, Corky, I had no idea you went through so much hardship. It's like, oh, was it? I mean, I knew it was kind of a pain in the rear, but it wasn't that bad. You know, like people are just, oh my God. So I don't want the book to come off as a lamentation or a list of just like crazies. There was a lot of craziness, but God, I hope people understand fundamentally that I cherished it all and it was worth it. So your question about reconciling the work with the love, I guess it was just so much it was just a known thing that I had to, a little bit like changing a baby's diaper, maybe, you know, like you don't really go, oh, gross, I have to do that again. It's just part of the job, you know, and those 3 meals and getting them off to school and everything, all the other stuff. So, so all that work came with it, but I mean, sure, sometimes, let's face it, sometimes it got ridiculous. Sometimes I was ready to just roll over. There were some key moments. But for the most part, I would do it all again, heartily. So.
Wow. Yeah. It's just, it's amazing when you read the book. Again, I don't want to do a spoiler alert, but there are so many challenges, and then, but you can't tell, I mean, I don't know, you tell it with such humor and yet, oh my goodness. I mean, just one thing after the next. And so it's really a page turner. I mean, when you're reading it, you're just like, what more can happen? What more can happen? You know, it's like everything.
You know, Charlotte, that's one of the most unexpected things, if I can just say that a lot of people are saying it's a page turner, which is like, whoa, should I have been writing mysteries for a career? Like, what a weird thing. I had no idea in the world that this book would be considered a page turner. The other thing I hear all the time is I couldn't put it down, I guess because it's a page turner, I couldn't put it down till, and there must be a witching hour about 2 a.m. because I keep hearing about 2 a.m. I couldn't put it down till 2 a.m. Like, what the heck happens at 2 a.m.? Nights out, lights out. That is really a surprise to me. That's one of the biggest surprises when people say, one person said they read it in one setting, one rainy weekend up here.
Oh, wow.
She said not since Nancy Drew had she read a book in one sitting, which that's cool. So anyway.
Very cool. Very cool. So another question for you is, do you see yourself as a lucky person? Because I think a lot of people might have been feeling sorry for you along the way, because there is a lot of tragedy that happens in a person's life. I mean, I don't know if someone could say that you've had more tragedy than, you know, I mean, you've had a lot of tragedy and there's a lot in this book. And so people might be feeling sorry for you having gone through so much pain.
Yeah.
And do you, but I also feel like you consider yourself a lucky person. So I'm wondering, how do you feel about that? Luck, or geez,
Well,
a lot of crap has happened to me in this lifetime.
yeah. And of course, you know, the inner sanctum truth, you know who I am. And
Throws you a lot of curveballs.
but I don't know if it's delusional or some real interesting, like childhood scars. I don't know. I've always felt like I was really, 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 really lucky.
Mhm.
And I think I was some of it is just good fortune. Some of it is privilege and opportunity that some of us have more than others, which is shameful and hard. And we're all trying to figure out how to deal with that. So I was a very fortunate kid, not by, we didn't have any money. My father had died. My mom worked in a grocery store in the co-op in Berkeley. We weren't fortunate in that kind of affluent way, but man, I had a loving family and a great community, and I really was a happy kid. So I considered myself happy and lucky then, and that just kind of stayed on. And I think it maybe gave me some of the juice to plow through when things did really fall apart. In my early 40s is when the first big kind of wave of insanity hit, which a lot of the book does have, focuses on. But nonetheless, even now, I still think of myself as a really lucky person.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I think that's another thing that the Finca just reinforced.
Mm-hmm.
There's a really corny Dr. Seuss line, but it helped me get through the last couple of years when things got kind of hard again. Something like, don't be sad you had it and lost it, just be glad you ever had it. Whatever. I mean, and it's so stupidly fundamental, but I really kind of almost have to chant that about the Finca.
Mm-hmm.
And it works. And so I hold on to the luck of having had that and not just have it like an ownership, but been able to share it with the amazing people that I got to share it with. It's all about that.
Speaking of the amazing people, I'm just wondering if you could talk a little bit about how important the guests were that came there, all of the people that you were able to share this special place with.
Oh my goodness. For any guests watching, I miss you guys as much as I miss those damn frogs and the mockingbirds. I so miss that venue as a way of, we had such amazing guests. We had, people don't understand. We'd have, weddings here or honeymoons here or, crazy bicyclists bicycling through here. But we had the Montessori school from Puerto Rico that came every year for 17 years. Is it Boston University, the marine biology folks that came every single year, and they'd come and do studies on the island. And I'd know what room they liked. I knew what sheets they liked. I knew what food they wanted. The Sierra Club. Oh my God, the folks who came every year for Christmas, their child had never known a commercial Christmas back in the States. And who, if you're listening, we're still friends. I've become Facebook friends. That's about as good as it gets now. Through social media, I still stay in touch with a lot of the guests and the managers. And I think they took kind of the brunt. I hope they didn't end up looking like en masse as the goofballs or the villains, because they saved my ass. They ran that place, and I'm as grateful to all the folks, every last one of them. Well, almost every last one of them.
They might be mentioned in the book.
Yeah, I've changed some names, okay? If your name was changed, there was some reason, let's just say that. But I do love the guests, and I'm really, really, really appreciative that we've found each other in social media. It's the best thing I can do now. So
Well, even the folks who were sort of unappreciated in their antics or whatever made a really good story. They really added to the story. If everyone was just a wonderful guest, I don't think you'd have such a good story.
That's really true.
I also just, kind of had this thought how, here's this setting where it's supposedly paradise, what people would have thought, like, oh, an island in the Caribbean, how wonderful, but like in this tropical paradise, I felt like actual S word could hit an actual fan at any moment.
But the fan wouldn't be working.
But yeah, then my question is, did you even have a fan? I mean,
we had fans. We didn't have air conditioning. We had fans, and they would collect a lot of dirt.
There was so much that could go wrong and did go wrong, kind of thinking of the guests who rolled with it, the guests who didn't roll with it, but just, I don't know. I felt like you just dealt with it in the way that you described things in the book. You took each strange situation kind of in stride, tried to think about it as best you could and deal with it. But really just how seriously you could have a situation where actual S word is hitting a fan. Well, just stuff happened constantly.
Right. And Charlotte, that you used a word that is a word that I almost never use. And I think that's it's a good thing, because like you said, sometimes serious stuff happens, not just sewers or, septic lines breaking or wild horses getting in. But paradise, that's a word I don't use to describe Vieques. I was just recently in Mexico, and some expats down there said, oh, isn't this just paradise? And I thought, I wonder what the locals would think if you called it a paradise. Vieques is an amazing place, and Puerto Rico is an amazing place, but poverty is real. It was real when I was there, and that's now so many horrible things have gone on since, from COVID, Zika, Maria, what else am I all forgetting? It's not really paradise. And I tried to include some of that reality in there too. And I'd even try with guests when they'd say, oh, this is paradise. I mean, of course I want their vacation to be as wonderful as possible. But anyway, yeah, there's definitely that reality therapy around the edges. I also learned that people bring a lot of their own realities with them. I'll never forget, I think it was Sophie, if she's from Timber Hill, our old high school buddy. She checked out the same day that another family had checked out, and she said, oh, it's just a perfect vacation. Oh my God, perfect, thanks. And the weather was great. Love it. What a trip. And then the same day, someone else, I said, how'd your trip go? And she goes, well, the weather, if the weather could have been better, it would have just been a lot different trip. And I think that was a wonderful thing also to learn as an innkeeper, because you get to learn from all these people. Then you, if you're smart, you bring it in and learn it for yourself. Like, okay, so I'm bringing my trip with me. I'm bringing my baggage of glass half full, half sunny, whatever. Mm-hmm. So I learned a lot from all of them.
Yeah. So I wonder if towards the end of the book, you were sort of the happy first ending of the book. You mentioned being a cowgirl without the cows, and I wondered if you could describe what that meant.
Yeah, especially as you are a cowgirl. So.
And I've got too many cows.
How many cows do you have?
I need to give you some.
Yeah, Charlotte, for our listening audience out there, how many cows do you have?
I think we have don't know if I even want to say. I think we have about 40 cows.
Oh,
But we have like, we have more than that, but we have about 25 mother cows. And that means that we have about 25 yearlings, and then pretty soon we'll start having 25 babies, so anyway, it goes various
yeah.
numbers.
You have a lot of cows.
Yeah.
A lot of cows in your life.
A lot of cows.
And
So tell me what it means to be a cowgirl without cows, because I feel like that sounds really good to me.
Perfect. That's perfect. Yeah, I bet. Okay, so when I was very young, my family had a dairy, so we had, I think we had
Cows.
200 cows. We had cows. But my father died when I was just under 4. So I never got to be the cowgirl that I always wanted to be. And I guess what that line meant, I know the line, I think it's on the last page of the book. And it's interesting because, again, no spoilers and all that, but the last page ends on a very, very, I think, very happy note. And so I didn't know that I might be foretelling about other things that happened in the epilogue. But so to be the cowgirl without the cows is, I guess, it's about learning how to bring it with you, even if you don't have it. And now that I no longer have the finca, it's definitely, you have to bring that magic, which is pretty hard to recreate, physically, logistically, emotionally, but I'm learning how to do that. So it's like, yeah, figuring out, not everybody's lucky enough to have a finca. Now I get it. I get why people used to say to me, God, you've really got this dream life. Man, I did. I really did. Well, that's over. So now my job is to figure out what that next adventure and passion is going to be, I guess. And maybe that's what it is. It's like, I just have to kind of pack it with me. Does that make any sense? Are you tracking with that?
Yeah, yeah. And so we're not going to give any spoilers about the epilogue at this point. Yeah, probably not, because people need to read this book.
I don't know. Yeah. I think probably people can figure it out, especially it's a smart reading crowd. They all read Nancy Drew, and
there's a mystery at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I wonder if we should take a few questions.
I'd love that.
Okay, and there, I just wondered, I was thinking there are a couple of other, well, I think we could go ahead and take some questions.
Yeah, well, you're looking for anything else, that's good.
Yeah, can you think of any last things that you would like to say about the writing?
About the writing?
You're done with that. So
I'm so done. I mean, people ask me about my voice. They say, oh, your voice and all that. It is just my voice. It is just the voice that I, and that, I guess that's something that I like a lot, is I hear from people, as the ones who know me, they say, it's like I was curled up and talking to you or drinking tea with you and you're just telling me a story.
That was exactly, where I was kind of going with this, is I felt like your writing is so relatable, that anyone would be able to relate to it, just all of the crazy things that happen in a person's life. And everyone doesn't have a tropical inn to manage with all of those hassles. But just even, where you mentioned the little things about what you're feeding the kids, or, the kids making a fort, just all the messiness around raising kids, and all the messiness around husbands, and all the messiness around everything, and I just feel like the book is as if the reader is in a personal conversation with you. It's so just personal, and you feel like you're just answering all the questions that the reader might want to be asking, like, what is going on here, you know? And then, or that the reader is actually in your head, you know, like it's so relatable. And I just feel like anyone reading this book would have that feeling about you, like, this is my pal just telling me what's going down in her life, you know, and it's definitely an interesting one, to say the least. So yeah, the writing is just fabulous. So I'm going to check this little question and answer button right now. And so folks, for those of you watching or in this webinar, we're going to take your questions now. And, you know, I'm not sure if I said this one little known fact, which I meant to say in the introduction, is that Corky,
Oh, God.
Corky is actually the reason that I came to Alaska. And I really meant to say that early on, but I would follow Corky anywhere. And then when she left Alaska, I didn't follow her because I fell in love with a guy and Alaska. And so Corky left me. She went back to the lower 48, but we both finished college, you know, after our 4 years, and she came up here, said, hey, come on up for the adventure. And I thought maybe I would check it out for a year or something, like just go see what it's all about. Corky thought it was a wonderful place to check out. And then I never went back. So thank you, Corky.
Aww.
You are responsible for all of this life I have here in Alaska. It's all you. It's your fault.
Thanks, Charlotte. Thank you.
So I'm going to look at the question and answer thing. Let's see if I can.
Okay, while you're looking at that, I want to make another little thank you. I don't know if David Merwin is watching tonight, but he too is really instrumental, because he's the one who said, well, one, he gave me the go ahead to buy the crazy place, but two, he's also the one who said, hey, Corks, you don't just have the finca, you've got the story behind it, and I know you'll write the book. And David, that was really, really incredibly supportive and totally right on. So, yeah. Okay, so do we have any good questions coming from people?
I do. Yep, I've got one here from Diane. Thank you, Diane. And it says, did you ever consider living there full time, especially considering the challenges of finding the right managers?
Great question. No, I absolutely did not.
Okay.
I learned way early on, you can love two places fully. I don't know about people. That gets too weird, but I love the Pacific Northwest, and I never, ever, ever, ever wanted to be away from these summers, spring, fall. Yep. And plus the kids were little, they were still in school. We were just we'd do summers, we'd do winters, we'd do, you know, the vacations. But yeah, it's weird.
I guess in the book, a few times you mentioned that you thought it would be your retirement dream. And when you thought about that, would you have moved there full time as a retirement? Or you would?
No, the retirement plan really is one of the few things in my life that I had this plan. And it's as soon as the kids were all off to college, like boom, I'm there. And I was there 4 months a year at least. That was the retirement, because we like to sail and hike up here.
Oh, right. And we've got a question from Anne. How fulfilling is just the memory?
Whoa. Well, it's learning. I'm learning to make it be enough. I would like it to be more, but such is life. How fulfilling is the memory? That's that Dr. Seuss quote. I'm learning to let it be enough.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then here's a good question. Jane wants to know, where can we get a signed copy? It's not your sister, Jane. It's
okay.
I bet Jane is watching, though, your sister. Anyway, she wonders where she can get a signed copy. Is anything like that set up?
Gosh, it's so hard these days because we would be doing this all in person. And, it's just terrible. Jane, thank you for wanting one. If you live in Port Townsend, we can connect, or even close by. I would love to do that, but otherwise we'll have to talk to the folks at Trinity. I have
an idea for you that I know some other famous people who might have some books out. Anyway, what they've done is they've gone to our local bookstore here, and they'll go in and sign the books from our bookstore, and the
Oh.
bookstore ships them to the person who wants a signed book. So
Huh.
maybe a bookstore near
Good.
you
Okay,
would order the books, and you
Okay.
could sign them. And anyway, it's a thought.
cool.
Um,
Yeah.
Okay, and so, oh my gosh, Bill Marley. Hey, Bill. Okay, he says, so great to see you too. Corky, here's a good question, Bill. Corky, what might you be working on now? Is there a
Oh.
second book in the works?
Oh, how cute. Well, first of all, we should tell people that another full disclosure thing is that Charlotte and I, neither of us went to regular high school. We lived on a hippie commune that was called Farm Camp Life or whatever, Jimber Hill, and Bill Marley is one of them. So, and one of the students, all 25 of us, maybe up to 30 one year, I guess. Whatever.
1 year we might have had 35 students.
Anyway, those are the days, peaked early. Okay, Billy, Bill, yes, I am actually starting to play around with a second book. I didn't think I would, but frankly, it's the momentum, the incredible excitement from readers about this book that's making me be jazzed about writing again. It's really funny. I don't know if it's that I'm just a pragmatist. This first book came from guests asking repeatedly, what made you do this? Why did you do this? And how did you do this? So I thought, I'll just answer that. And now the last year I kind of struggled. Well, what would be the next one? And now I'm getting enough people saying, well, what happens next? What happens next? That it's like, really? You guys really want to know? Okay, maybe I'll do it. So that's actually something pretty exciting that I've been starting. Thanks, Billy. That's neat.
Yeah, fun to see your name there, Bill. So I wonder if we should, do you have any more thoughts? And then I think maybe we'll wrap this up.
Yep, they said 45 minutes unless there's any other, it looks like there's 11 things down here in Q&A or no? I hate to leave anybody.
Okay, I can't. Oh, geez. Yeah. So can you see the questions, Corky?
Yeah, I
I'm
can.
sorry. For some reason, I'm not scrolling up.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I can do it. Oh, how sweet. I've got neighbors saying, when will you come to Vieques next? I don't know if I'm blocking my camera there. So I think I'm coming in March for those who are writing that question, Elizabeth. Thank you. Someone else says, have you returned since letting go? And I am about to. In March, I'm going to go down and we'll be doing another one of these events with Kelly Thompson of Vieques Love. And that's an enormously important umbrella charity for the island. And yeah, I haven't been back. I guess, is it 3 years, 3.5 years, something? Yeah, I'm not good with numbers, but this will be my first time back. So that's a biggie. Oh, wait, here's some other good questions. What were you like as a girl, and do you see some of those same qualities in yourself today? And how are you different? Oh, what a good Charlotte, you should answer that.
Okay, she is so different. I can't even tell you. No, I'm sorry, Corky. You won't be able to answer this properly yourself. Okay, I'm just going to say, Corky, as teenagers, she was like the flame in the room that all the moths would be attracted to. It was just like the energy.
And now I'm a what? Shriveled old lady? What are you?
You're the same way. You're the same way.
I'm the same way.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were saying I had changed.
Wiser or whatever, but no. Oh, okay. So I don't know how you've changed. I'm just saying she wants to know what you're like. So seriously, Corky is one of the most energetic and people that I know who puts off this. I'm sorry, Corky, it's true. Who puts off this? Bill Marley will agree. She puts off this amazing energy that just makes you want to be with her, do things with her, follow her around, because she's so fun and so energetic, and it's contagious. She's a contagious person. That's what it is, and not in a bad way, in a really good way. Okay, you can answer now. I just had to Yeah.
I love it. I love it. My other little interviews are gonna be so different because no one's gonna know me like you do to be able to call bullshit on anything. So same qualities, you know, and it's really a great question. And I would like to thank my mom and aunt and maybe my dad. I might have gotten some of this from him, don't know. But that is my deep-seated love and orientation towards not caring about conformity. It's not that I'm a nonconformist for the sake of nonconforming, but my dear mom, when I would go home and say, Mom, everyone thinks I'm weird for doing this or weird for doing that, she would say, well, what the heck would you care about what they think? Why would that matter? And your parents must have said the same thing to you, Charlotte. We're so similar in the way of just, I mean, you know, the offbeat, whatever.
Yeah, but I think I was always much more self-conscious than you. I feel like you were somebody who seriously just didn't care how weird you were.
I know. And so if Discovery's watching this, they think the homesteaders are weird. Yeah.
Check this lady out.
Anyway, so Anne, that was instilled in me really early on. So whether it was art or dance or decorating my room, all these things that kind of came into fruition in a way just in life and at the finca. Yeah, a lot of it is still really there. In fact, I took a note the other day about why I loved the gate so much as a moment in the book. And I think it's that it tapped into an inner child thing. I just think it might be some Freudian, what was the ducks that on the guy, the biologist with the ducks and the symbols on the boots? You're supposed to know. Yeah.
These things about biologist, I have no idea what you're talking
about. Anyway, you imprint, I'm having a brain lapse here, but I think the gate was imprinted and it just looked like a ranch that I was supposed to have had all along. So I like being in touch with my inner child. I feel like I am still that little girl, despite the age.
Despite growing up. So Corky, I'm unable to scroll these answers up.
I can do it.
For some reason. Yeah, if you don't mind just answering.
No, I don't mind doing it.
Questions. Yeah.
Michael, I think on Vashon Island asks, running La Finca must have presented a myriad of logistical challenges. Do I miss those challenges? Yes and no. I don't miss the headaches, and there were a lot of them. I definitely miss the team cooperative brainstorming. God, you know, Wendy, if you're listening, I just, and Bill, and I just really missed coming together, everybody figuring out, we had a lot of problem solving. That's the word I'm looking for. And that creative problem solving I miss, but I don't miss the day-to-day. Sandy asks me what my art training was. Art has been part of my life, Sandy, every day of it. Every day of my life, I do something from doodling to knitting to collage to painting to something. At Bennington, I studied economics and political science with an environmental twist, go figure, but always took art classes, always. So no formal real training, but then I was a creative director. So yeah, I guess, I don't know. Art's just part of me. It's not super formal though. And are we running out of time? Is someone going to pull the plug here on us?
You can answer a few more questions, Corky.
Oh, Katie in Santa Cruz.
Oh, Katie!
Hilarious. Thank God for friends to write all these. She asked, will we have another inn or place to visit anytime soon? That's a really good question, and I certainly think about it. I think, I guess I shouldn't say I think I'm too old, but I don't think it's not going to be anything big. If I might do something small. It's always tempting because I do love being an innkeeper. Jerry Kilcher in LA, woohoo, Bennington. Did all the kids love it as much as you did? Yeah, they absolutely did. It took an absolute family decision for us to sell. I couldn't have done that without them it was always for them, with them. My kids learned how to work really hard because none of my kids have ever been to Vieques without working their little tushes off. So they worked it and they loved it. Some of these questions are pretty funny, like who's going to play you in the movie? Yeah, right. Tell us about the moment when you opened the box and saw the books.
Oh yeah.
I didn't. I was in Mexico and I got one book because I was in Mexico most of the winter. But no, it is. Thank you, Elizabeth. Yeah, it's really, 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 really fun. This is really incredibly rewarding. So beyond any dream, beyond the comments from readers is so exceeding my wildest dreams. Someone is asking, what advice would we give to someone dreaming of having a home or a rental on Vieques? Gosh, to get down there and spend as much time as you can and learn the real community, the full community. Rentals are, yeah, that's another whole thing. But home, yeah. Yeah, David Bickert. No question.
Speaking of Timber Hill.
Yeah.
Hey, David.
I don't know if we've missed any of these. I've kind of been bouncing around. Oh, that was the Anne about the memory. That's pretty funny. Oh, that's from David. Oh God, such great people. See, it's just like, it's filled with that. So I think we're out of time. But I'm amazed that people stayed so long.
Might have to get the cane and pull us out of here because it's so fun visiting with you, Corky. We're gonna have to do Zoom more often.
I know, I've been telling you.
Yeah. So yeah, we just want to thank everyone for joining us for this fun evening talking about Corky's book, just celebrating the printing of your book. It's a really exciting time. And we want to thank Trinity University Press for printing this amazing book and for putting on this webinar. And Corky, I just couldn't be prouder of you. I couldn't be happier to be your best friend and share this amazing accomplishment with you. I just can't get over how much I love this book, and I don't feel like I'm just saying that. I'm saying that I read all kinds of books, and this is seriously one of my favorites. Might be my favorite. Anyway, if you liked what you saw here tonight, you can pick up the book La Finca. You can get 20% off if you go to tupress.org and use the promo code La Finca, and all of that is on your info to join this webinar. And so anyway, it was a really fun evening to be able to talk about the book. Love you so much, Corky, and all of the viewers. Thanks so much.
Really, I want to just thank everybody from in all walks, from the past, the Finca, innkeepers, managers, community. Couldn't do it without you. Guests, everybody, just huge, huge hugs. Now the book is the closest thing I have to the back deck. So that's how we'll meet again for now. So thank you, everybody. So.
Okay, good night.
Night.